Okay, so welcome to my very first video. Um, I'm going to be reading through my book I have out. It's called Toxic Relationships, A Guide on How to Spot a Narcissist. And I'm going to be reading through it, and then I'll be talking different points. I'm going to go ahead and just read, as you can see, you can get it on Amazon if you like. It's an ebook. So this book is a roadmap for identifying narcissistic individuals in your life before they can cause emotional harm. And if there's a little background noise, I apologize. This book points out the subtle yet damaging behaviors of narcissists. It also helps readers recognize the red flags hidden beneath their charm and manipulation. From love bombing and gaslighting to boundary pushing and emotional abuse, each chapter takes a closer look into the tactics narcissists use to control and distort reality. The guide encourages readers to learn about, trust, and use their own instincts to identify the narcissist. Toxic relationship shows you how to protect yourself by being informed and aware of what to look for. Whether you are wondering if you are involved with a narcissist already or looking to avoid it, this book gives you the tools to recognize a narcissist early on and keep your self-worth intact. And before we jump into the first chapter, my goal is to help people spot the narcissist before they get caught up in their web or ensnared. Because once you're in, it's just really, really hard to get out. And then once you get out, the recovery is brutal. And myself, I'm still recovering several years out. So my whole thing is to try to help people spot them before getting caught by them. All right, so let's just jump into see where I'm at. Hopefully, I've kind of been going back and forth through here. Okay, great. All right. So, my name that I use is Icy Gray for my protection. And again, the book is called Toxic Relationships, A Guide on How to Spot a Narcissist. And it's a pretty quick read, but it will take me a bit to get through it as I'm reading through it, because there's going to be points that I'm going to want to stop and, clarify or just make special points about certain topics. So Chapter 1, Narcissism Unveiled, specifically Malignant. And the reason I say that is because that is the type of narcissist that I was married to. He was extremely malignant, although there weren't any specific diagnosis that I know about. His mother did tell me that she believed he was a sociopath. But of course, that was after I was already caught up in his web. And so I know more about the malignant narcissist rather than the covert. And so this book really is kind of more specifically put towards them. I believe they can do more damage than the covert. All right, so let's take on the journey of getting a better understanding of narcissism. In this chapter, I want to explore the fundamentals of narcissism and unraveling its complexities. By the end of this chapter, you will have enough of a foundation to build on your understanding of the complex and confusing personality trait. What is narcissism? Narcissism at the core is basically a preoccupation with self, having a deep sense of self-importance and the need for constant praise and admiration. There's also a complete lack of empathy when it comes to others. It's true that all humans could be said to have narcissism. It's healthy and normal to have some because having good self-esteem is essential. The problem becomes when it goes overboard and becomes fully narcissistic. The spectrum of narcissism. 1. Healthy narcissism. A balanced sense of self-esteem where an individual recognizes their worth, capabilities, strengths, without having to put others below them. They are able to receive compliments, appreciate their successes, and acknowledge their flaws and places they may fall short. When a person has healthy narcissism, it is used to help them pursue goals in their life and build confidence. 2. Narcissistic traits. Many of us exhibit narcissistic traits and tendencies at times. 3. There are times we need to be a little self-centered in order to get things done or needing and wanting a little more attention during tough times. The key is these incidents don't dominate the person's full personality. It's just the way they are during certain times. We all do this and act in these ways at some point. The difference is we don't stay there. 4. Narcissistic Personality Disorder, NPD. This is a clinical diagnosis. Although I'm not claiming to be a medical professional, it is characterized by ongoing patterns of grandiosity, a never-ending need for admiration, and a complete lack of empathy for others. Although they will mask empathy, and it looks very real, They are masters at mimicking feelings and emotions that are normal to others. Narcissists look together on the outside as if they have all these wonderful connections. However, if taking a deeper look, they have strained relationships, especially with ones closest to them. They have a habit of treating people inside their circle the worst. Common characteristics of narcissism. 1. Grandiosity. Their sense of self is extremely inflated. They are the most important person in the room. They magnify and embellish their achievements, talents, beliefs, education, income. This helps support the superiority they believe they have over others. 2. Need for admiration. They live off validation and praise from others. They will take it from anyone, although you may be despised for it if you are not on the important list. Their main goal is to get narcissistic supply, and this is one of their many methods to obtain it. Now, I want to say here that when I read, or you may be despised for it if you're not on the important list. So the closest people to them are not on the important list. Those are people like such as myself, the wife, the partner. That they've already got that person, so they don't really value you anymore. Their focus is going to be more on the people on the outside that they're not sure of their relationships or their new relationships of any kind, work, friend, somebody they may be flirting with. Those are the targets. So if you are in the way of that, you literally might get pushed aside so that they can go get that narcissistic supply from this new supply that they haven't obtained yet. 3. Lack of empathy. Now, most experts will say that a narcissist has a limited ability to understand or care about the feelings of others. They will say that a narcissist may not be able to recognize when someone else is suffering, therefore dismiss the emotions of others as unimportant and insignificant. However, I want to suggest that a lot of narcissists, if not all, do recognize suffering in others and can even feel it, and this is what leads them to sensitive people because they know they can manipulate them. They recognize that sensitivity that they've buried away, and they therefore know that they can manipulate you. And I also believe that many narcissists do feel deeply, and that is also the very thing they hate in others. They don't like weakness because it puts them in touch with their weakness and their vulnerabilities, and that's what they are hiding. That's what all of this that they're doing on the outside is protecting, that deep, hole that they have inside of themselves. They've just chosen to cover it up in that way. 4. Entitlement. Narcissists tend to believe they are entitled to special treatment or privileges. They usually expect others to cater to their needs and become angry, resentful, or even violent if they feel slighted or overlooked. You cannot overlook a narcissist. You will, a malignant one. You will definitely hear about it at some point. 5. Manipulation and control. Narcissists always use manipulative tactics to keep the power in relationships. This will consist of gaslighting, which distorts your reality to make you doubt your thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. Also love bombing, where they shower you with affection, gifts, flattery, etc. to gain control over you. 6. Shallow relationships. Because narcissists tend to focus on their own needs, they often struggle to form deep, meaningful connections with others. Plus, that is just too risky. Forming a deep, meaningful connection would be going too deep, and they don't ever want to go into that place because whatever trauma they've experienced that has caused them to develop this narcissistic personality is buried deep inside, and they don't ever want to go near that. And that seems to be the norm of what most narcissists are believed to be. And I do disagree with this as far as them not being, they are able to have deep connections, but they don't really want to have them. I'll just read on. I believe there are many narcissists that do have deep connections to certain people. And this is what I mean is that for my ex, he has deep, meaningful relationships with his boys. They're young adults now. If there's any relationships in the world that he has it with them. Now, time will tell because in some ways he still does have control over them because of finances and manipulation. So as long as it stays like that, he will keep the deep connections with them. But if they are to break away from him or, fall out of his good graces by going against something that he wants them to do or certain actions or anything along those lines, that can break that connection. So they may tend to put their own needs first, and that's true. Like I said, my ex still, kind of manipulates the boys with money and has them always doing things for him, and they do it because they want to please him and they want the finances. Um, but if they break out of that pattern, then that's when things could really change. So get back to the reading. Having said that, in general, most of their relationships are very superficial and based on whether they can get narcissistic supply from them or not. That is really complicated, the relationship between the narcissist and their children, and I think that that can look different in different scenarios, so I'm not really going to go into that. That's like a whole nother book. The roots of narcissism. So far, the exact cause of what makes a narcissist is still not fully known. Here are some possible contributing factors. Genetics. A person may be born with certain personality traits that make them susceptible to becoming a narcissist. Childhood environment. A home that lacks balance can provide instability and lead to narcissism. I'm on the fence if too much praise can cause a narcissist. I do believe that any type of abuse, including neglect, can lead to narcissism. But I'll add in here, I do believe that the most thing that leads to narcissism is some type of trauma in childhood. And culture influences. Culture and society can help cultivate narcissism, but me personally, I don't believe it can make one. Why understanding and or recognizing narcissism is important. 1. Healthy boundaries. Learning healthy boundaries is important, period. It's especially important when it comes to sensitive, empathetic people because they are the usual target for narcissists. Solid boundaries and recognizing narcissistic traits are the best formula to stay out of the narcissistic snare. 2. Improve relationships. You'll be able to see your relationships more clearly and become more aware of who to keep close and who to keep a distance from. It's unfortunate that there is no way to be narcissistic free, but once you can identify one, you will know how to keep your walls up and not let them into your personal space. It's something you have to watch for continuously. By identifying narcissistic behavior, you can assess your relationships more clearly. 3. Personal growth. When you start to understand and recognize narcissism, it naturally begins to point you towards self-reflection. As you focus more on yourself, building yourself from within, you will naturally become less attractive to the narcissist. They won't bother to try and manipulate a person like that because it's a waste of time for them. They only prey on people that are easily manipulated. Conclusion. Understanding narcissism is your first step in protecting yourself from the toxic, devastating damage a narcissist can do. It is also your first step in healing. Knowledge and awareness are the start of your journey inward. And we will start on Chapter 2 in the next video.